Hello there, and welcome to this week's Radiant Revelation. And for those of you who are new to this particular channel, my name is Stuart Pearce, and you're most welcome to be here. I have been a channel, or the angels call me an emissary, for 12 angels, 12 beings of light, called the Angels of Atlantis, for 40 years. And welcome to all of you who are familiar with this transmission process. The Angels of Atlantis want to speak about some really invaluable processes, particularly a protective field of sound and light that is now surrounding our planet. And this has been created through love by the Pleiadian High Priestesses, the Magi of Orion, and the Seers of Sirius. You see, they're guiding us through vast corridors of empyrean light, the growing pains of the new earth, and the awakening of our true nature as multi-perceptual beings. And also, you will hear a profound but somewhat testing message about the rise of the divine feminine, but more particularly how women are bravely embracing their spiritual sovereignty by choosing to live alone, and therefore are reshaping the current matrix of our planet. So are you ready? This is going to be an interesting one. And having meditated very thoroughly over the last 2 days, I have a sense of what they wish to speak to you. So, I'm just going to close my eyes, move into a moment or two of meditation, where I open up the pranic cord through my spine. I open up each of the chakras along the pranic cord and then go deep into my heart, because this is where I hear the angels' voices. And then I'll open my eyes and speak. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, the angels ask me to keep my eyes open, to channel light through my eyes, and of course light also through my voice. So thank you for being here. Let's meditate together. We'll just breathe deeply. Greetings, beacons of light. We, the Angels of Atlantis, are within, breathing through the luminous fields of supernal light that now surround you. This field is a protective shield of sound and light frequencies created through love and maintained through the zeal of your stellar brothers and sisters for your own specific advantage. And particularly it is ignited by the Pleiadian High Priestesses, the Magi of Orion, and the Seers of Sirius. For we prophesy you are entering vast corridors of empyrean light that will signify the deepest and the highest loving forces within the universe. So are you ready to receive this love? It is vast. It will catch you, and you will need to be profoundly still to ground yourselves. Indeed, these frequencies are towering waves of sound and light like unto which you have not experienced before, and so anticipate an influx of high-frequency pulsations. This will alter your physiology, igniting unusual symptoms within your 4 bodies, the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. And these will possibly appear initially as rather painful. Neurologically, you are being re-sorted. Physiologically, you will feel disoriented while your cells are being rebalanced. And then, when they lighten, for they will, you will feel amplified. Your bandwidth will expand. Your sensory nature will feel unlike anything that you've experienced before, and therefore you will feel a deep resonation through the entire cellular consciousness of your being, moving you into a completely other form and totally different trajectory, which will alter your perceptual range. And the rapture of all that you see and feel and hear will be exquisite. As we have said before, you are becoming a multidimensional being. Your consciousness is growing, expanding, and affirming your origins, which, as you learned, are not what they initially seemed to be. You see, these effects, dear ones, are the growing pains of the new earth within you and without. And you and she are experiencing this on a muscular, cellular, and sensory level, stretching together. For you are attaining new dimensional experiences, new ways of experiencing sentience, new ways of being in your flesh, within your body, within your feelings, within your sentience, within your field of awareness. And you will sense many different things. Be aware of the supernatural. Yet remember, you still live in linear time. And this may appear to contract, yet use it as a means to contain, just for now, for all conditions are temporary. We are here, dear ones, because we love you, we care for you, we secure you, we are your curators on a creative path. And therefore remember to anchor yourselves, earth yourselves, ground your beings, and find stillness. For in this stillness you will catalyze, you will dissolve stagnancy from within yourselves, within the processes of your life, within these times. For these corridors of light are designed for such function. You see, breathe out the waste. Do not keep the debris within. With each breath, breathe out the waste. And then vision your cellular consciousness full of the silver white light of Pranayama in the purest jet stream of source force. May we bow our heads. Breathe this silver white light into your being during moments of profound recovery. And during these moments of stillness, during meditation, during contemplation, exhale the negative that has been carried within you for many lives, for many incarnations. And remember, you are revivifying your soul's note. You are revitalizing your frequency, your resonance. And so moving position, to be in your sovereignty, is the principle the Gaia wishes of you, so that you feel in harmony with the new Earth's note. And of course the Gaia is doing the same thing. She is mirroring this within her own being. This is a new sensory experience. It has not been experienced before, even for the wisest Magi who lived amongst you. So be still. Detach, observe. Remember, we are you. Your body is your life vessel. We will reflect this within you. It is your temple. It is your sacred carrier. And just for now, for it is a barometer by which you will feel, that will show you where you are not in flow, and mark that when two notes are in harmony, they cohere, they create beauty. Yet, when two notes are in disharmony, they will become dissonant and in conflict, and so we will guide you to seek the first. The first in your note, flowing with ease and thriving, rather than living within stress and conflict. And now we desire to communicate further data to you. This is significant, and it is very different from that we have done before. And so we ask you to respect this. Respect this knowledge from mighty primal forces will stir within you. Respect this. You may become aggravated. Please, if you can be still to receive this, stilling your inner processes, so that within your inner being internally you expand. And then you will surrender to the data, and it will establish a stabilizing current of pioneering harmonies within you. If you resist, it will be difficult. So don't resist. And thence you will feel an exquisite balance through the resonances that we offer you, full of beauty and serenity, for they arise from the very core of the divine feminine aspect of duality that exists within the Earth's vibrational field, and so from cosmic intelligence, which is all one. They arise from the center which appears in multiplicitousness, which lives in each still point. And we offer you this, for we love you, and we review your beautiful vulnerability as exquisite. And so be aware, these currents are formed by love for love, the love that exists in the essence waves of creativity, the love that lies within the great heart of the divine feminine aspect of cosmic consciousness. And this does not mean that we are dismissing, dissolving, or dividing the yin from the yang. We are simply revealing to you that through the illumination of unity consciousness, there is a perspective. And this perspective within the more feminine elevation of the human soul is that you may perceive more easily the radical shifts which are taking place within the drive of the collective forces through the divine feminine. And so a new process is now arresting your focus. And many women are similarly arrested and destined to live alone. Yes, you are observing that many of your dear women are choosing to live alone so that they may create context and contact with the divine. And they will do this by furthering their devotion, their veneration, and their reverence, revering their souls as divine. This is a sacred act. It takes place between them and the divine Mother, Father, God, Source. Yet this embrace within the inner spiritual life of many women threatens society. Because women who choose to live out their own independence are potentially considered to be dangerous to the status quo, simply because they cannot be controlled. When a woman seeks to embrace this aspect of the Divine Mother, Father, God, Source, this woman evokes the profundity of independence, the ecstasy of courage, self-reliance, bravery, steadfastness, and the absolute belief, faith, and trust in the universe and all of its glory. You see, the belief is that the universe is completely self-organizing, completely self-initiating, completely self-correcting, and self-aligning in her feminine core processes. This is true co-creation. Co-creating with the divine, and therefore feeling how the individual evolves through a sense of spiritual sovereignty in the warm embrace of the divine to a point of refinement. And that this cosmic propensity awakens within the deeper, intrinsic cellular memory of ancient spiritual tenets, which have been used and defined and governing the sacred nature of the human consciousness for millennia. Reflect on the fact that the human soul chooses to incarnate with a specific purpose in mind, principally contained and remembered within the human heart and not within the head. This occurs so that the individual may elicit power from the divine through the divine contract of life with the divine, living through the love and joy of optimizing creativity and therefore enhancing, expanding, refurbishing, nourishing the very spirit of the cosmos. And this, you are discovering, is achieved by living strategic lessons, burning off karmic debts, soul contracts, and resolving negativity held within that has moved through your embodied soul, but takes you more specifically to at-one-ment, to atonement, and therefore being more within the embrace of the divine. So many souls are currently incarnating, as you know, yet they are convening a way to move beyond social convention, living alone, carving out periods of solitude and independence in stillness and without the emotional pressures, and using these time frames to nourish and fully appreciate the inner core experience of life as a divine vessel in human form. And we say to you, this is magnificent. And for any woman who chooses this path of living alone is not missing something in her life. When a woman removes herself thus, she is determining an access route to a hidden power, an intrinsic power that is fueled by no other significant relationship other than that of the divine. Yet this confuses often, this threatens, this disorientates the very nature and fabric of contemporary society. A society that still does not remember its sacred function in response to the temporal greed of the flesh. Yet, when a woman removes herself from convention, from the conventional behavior of seeking out a male mate, she is in fact hearing the call of the divine, hearing the song of her soul, the pulsation of her heart, in order to grow in exquisite rapport with the essence of divine, the divine feminine. This is not because she is missing something in her life. This is rather that she is being in rapport with the divine, who will always give the experience of much greater value and of much greater significance. Of course, this represents a complete shift within the psychic, spiritual, and societal forces of the individual. For when a woman ceases to seek out external validation in the world, through status, and moves within to contemplate the inner world, the interior world of stillness, via meditation and in the prayer of praise for the divine, she also begins to open herself as a conduit for universal wisdom, and therefore becomes a servant for the flow of divine Shakti. And this divine rapport brings any woman to a level of sensory advancement that triggers heightened intuition, increases her psychic accomplishment, her prophetic abilities, and produces an easy access route into the Akashic Records that are contained within the cosmic database, and where all knowledge of past thought and feeling is contained, recorded in the concord of light and sound. And yet, as you know, there is within conventional society a demand, a patriarchal pressure placed upon many women to couple, purely for the sake of propagating the species. And we say to you that this is mostly based on the denial of the masculine. It is an interference with the spiritual integrity of the beauty within womanhood. And there is much going on within this, dear ones. You have lived through thousands of years of patriarchal rule that dominates with such force, whereby major cultural thought systems are found in certain national or religious societies around the Gaia. And within these, if women substantiate their own independence, their own beauty, their integrity, as free-thinking, soul-loving, self-governing, self-realizing, sovereign beings with intelligence, these women are seen as dangerous oppositions to the established order of the Patriarchy. Whereas in ancient civilizations such as ancient Egypt, Atlantis, or Mu, women were honored and respected for their independent, courageous allegiance to the divine. For example, in ancient Egypt, high priestesses were beyond the touch of men and were considered to be of inestimable value, being expressly relied upon for their spiritual advancement. And these women were the oracles, the healers, the priestesses, the sages of the ancient wisdom traditions, living alongside the men. They were pure reflections of essence. And they lived this essence through the entirety of their flesh, through the sensory, sensual, and sentient nature of their power, allowing it to be an open mirror of the divine. And so you see, many women are incarnating today upon the Gaia to remember their past lives of devotion within the divine, and therefore living in communities that vow to be present with the divine, and so to feel their own inexplicable draw towards being independent as a way of refining their own close connection with what they honor as supreme. And this supernal force allows them to feel unafraid of being alone, yet circumspect about deleting the all-oneness of their veneration and devotion to the divine. And so they choose not to be dependent on any one person, on any sect, society, or belief system. And so, women are remembering. They are remembering their oracular power and how it aligns with heavenly purpose, which is for some more important than being convened within a relationship, of being with a spouse or a significant other, which of course doesn't mean that both states of allegiance cannot exist co-creatively. You see, many women have been feeling diminished within long-term relationships, feeling that their intuitive, spiritual, psychic abilities are clouded by the complexity of emotional entanglement. Whereas, when a woman chooses solitude, she accesses her own true soul note and frequency. And during the current age of Aquarius, you are witnessing this within the arousal of the divine feminine consciousness that transpires throughout the Gaia from a planetary perspective. Dear ones, reflect on this. Reflect on the way that Diana showed this to you, for she is now close to you as a Pleiadian priestess, and yet whilst here on planet Earth, illustrated how she brought to the fore in her most recent Earth life the virtues and the characteristics of the divine feminine archetype. For she didn't live out her life purely as a complement to the male counterpart. She sought out her own sovereign force derived from within the close regard of her position with the divine. And so she awakened within many women the choice to opt from this position of being within certain relationships and deciding to form newer vibrational frequencies that create determined resolutions about not being entrapped or affected by lower vibrational entities, of not being negatively affected by other women who are still opening themselves to their spirituality, and of not being compromised by the effects of the patriarchal society, by the status quo. Because Becoming independent creates glitches in the matrix. Every being who seeks spiritual sovereignty will create ripples of change throughout the collective and will establish new functionality for living within or without relationship. And so therefore, consequently, spiritual maturity will ensue and it will overcome the conditioned behaviors, releasing the assumption that everyone must settle down, and therefore fosters the evolution of a personal courage determining profound inner guidance. And this means that a woman or a man engaging thus will gain easier access to the mysteries, engaging in prophetic dreams that awaken otherworldly counsel, and of course the ability to heal others through empathic understanding, within the sense of being in direct access to the creative force at the core of the universe itself. And so women who embrace this path become co-creative, conscious channels of divine will, and thus change the entire morphic field, establishing a level of enlightenment that releases the karmic tie of codependence. And Instead, they create a level of consciousness that is greater than the sum of its parts. And this is committed to the future potential of human consciousness. And so, in your future, women who live thus bring forth a template crafted by the Elohim as the creational archangel beings who brought forth millennia ago the mothers of the new era on the earth, and whose knowledge, the knowledge of how their children will build bridges between the old and the new through their own supernatural abilities, their own divine wisdom and intuitive intelligence, supersedes anything that has been experienced in the world today. And remember, dear ones, the energies of Ascension are tireless. And you are at the core of this sacred participation. And so now we angels must leave you. Leave you to meditate on the essence and power of these channeled energies. Please muse on these teachings, allow your whole being to be saturated by the love light of the Divine Feminine, and mark the Elohim and how they have shared with you this extraordinary power, alongside we Angels of Atlantis. And so please watch this video twice, thrice, or maybe 4 times, and soak in the sound and light transmissions that we provide through our emissary. And in just a little while, you will see you have always been exactly who we angels most want you to be, for what you want wants you. And so farewell. Farewell, dear ones. We will see you again. Trust this. It is written so. It is destined to be so. Namaste, namaste, namaste.